Do you have any idea? 8 signs you are dealing with a psychopath. When you hear the word psychopath, your brain instantly creates an image of a serial killer with brilliant planning mind or a mass murderer with no emotions, as the movies plotted it into our minds. But it is an often misconceived word. Now and then, people use it as an insult for people who are just doing the things differently or not like every other human beings. What exactly is a psychopath and how to know if you're dealing with one? We're going to discuss that today. What is psychopathy? There is no perfect definition provided by the Mental Health's official handbook, and the doctors don't officially diagnose people as psychopaths. They use the term antisocial personality disorder. It means psychopathy is a mentally related problem. Simply put, psychopathy is traditionally a personality or mental disorder characterized by persistent antisocial behavior. According to psychologists, around 1 to 4% of the entire population of the earth are psychopaths, and 3% of business leaders may be psychopaths. About 15% of the US prison population are considered psychopaths. Many scientific studies shows the result that this personality disorder may be associated with genetic and family factors. It means people can be born with psychopathy and their mind works somewhat different than the normal people. It doesn't necessarily mean that the person has to be awful or dreadful. There are plenty of people diagnosed with psychopathy in the world who lives a non-violent normal life. They can do regular jobs and can play sports like everyone else. Their thinking pattern is just different than the regular ones, and it doesn't make them a criminal in any possible way. But there are few possibilities where the psychopaths can be violent or can take extreme measure, and it is a safe measure or backup to be known of the symptoms or signs of a psychopath. Most of the psychopaths knows from an early age that they are different from others. So, it is quite difficult to detect a psychopath as they are very cautious, and to fraternize with the society, they often hide their true desire and put on a mask. But there are some symptoms or traits that the psychopaths show in their daily character, which they cannot suppress or it automatically comes off them. But remember, few signs in a human will not make them a psychopath. A proper diagnosis can only be given by a medical professional. Now, let's take a look on the signs or symptoms to know that you are dealing with a psychopath. Number 1. Lack of empathy. Empathy is the ability to sense other people's emotions, coupled with the ability to imagine what someone else might be thinking or feeling. Psychopaths simply lack in this empathy. They are incapable of feeling any emotions towards people with sadness or fear. Psychopaths lack possibly even the most basic understanding of human feelings, right, babyache and hair. According to a psychology doctor, Scott Bourne, psychopaths are unable to detect people's sadness, but they can imitate an emotional reaction. So they can see you sad and show some gestures of emotions, but there will be nothing on their faces. Many studies shows that the psychopaths are also incapable of feeling scared. It doesn't mean that a psychopath is completely emotionless. They can get happy when they have some rewards or get angry when provoked. A 2013 study studied the brain activity of various violent psychopathic offenders and discovered that the regions of the brain associated with sharing sufferings with others can be activated and deactivated. It means that the psychopaths can turn their emotions on and off, which they somewhat have. As an example, when a psychopath tries to cheer you up by doing some friendly gestures, you can think of him or her as a good person that time, but a psychopath will only do such things if they want something from you or want something done by you. They are just imitating the sympathy to get the thing they want from you. A group of researchers found that as they are unable to connect with someone emotionally, so a message with deeper emotional message will fly above their heads. This doesn't mean that they are idiots. They just think with logic and reasoning. And the logic and emotions are total opposites of each other. Number 2. Superficial charming character and spotlight loving. Psychopaths very cautiously conceal their true selves and make them appear as likable as possible. If they know one thing right, that is how to captive an audience. They like to be on the spotlight by any means. Dr. Galperin states that psychopaths appear very friendly and nice, but all this charm is superficial. They can be very charismatic given a situation, but this is an act, just developed by years of practice. They research people and with quick wit and flattery they try to gather the attention of people towards them for their personal gain. According to Robert Hare and Babiak, they just pick out the topics which are important to us and discuss it on the sympathetic point of view. They wear masks and tries their best to make them look friendly and gain everyone's trust. In meeting with new people, they manipulate people's thinking and use flattery to gain their trust. They only do this to gain the trust to manipulate in the future. Number 3. Pathological liar. We all have or had to lie sometimes in our life in different situations to ease some tensions or to simplify the social life. But the psychopaths take this concept of lying to a whole new level. A study in 2017 shows that the psychopaths are quite professional in lying. The psychopaths lack in feeling shame or guilt or remorse, so they can easily lie about absolutely anything pretty ordinarily. Psychopaths would not be afraid of being caught and thus are more likely to fool an expert or pass the polygraph. A psychopath's lies are more goal-oriented or they lie to gain something from someone. They always have an excuse ready for every situation. They don't feel any shame or remorse when they are caught because they have a lie or excuse ready for the situation. This happened to Anne Rule, a former police officer, psychology student, and author of 5 books on serial killers when, in a horrifying coincidence, she found herself working with and becoming fast friends with a man named Ted Bundy. Fortunately for Rule, it wouldn't be long until her new friend Bundy would be arrested, tried, and found guilty of the kidnap and murder of at least 36 women, some of which he committed during the time he worked with Rule. She said that Ted never gave any signal or any kind of giveaway during her working with him. Number 4. Grandiose sense of self or narcissist. Narcissists are those people who have an inflated sense of their own importance and a deep need for excessive attention and admiration. Psychopaths consider themselves better than everyone else around them. They think that they deserve more and they are the smartest. Simply put, psychopaths have some ego problems. They do whatever they find good for them. They always remember their success and others' failure. They like showering themselves with self-love and they think they are superior from everyone. This thought process of them often leads to thinking that the rules and laws are for the ordinary people and not for the smart people like themselves. So, they break the law without thinking anything further. This is the prime reason psychopaths indulge themselves in violent crimes. They think a lot about what they are going to achieve, rather than thinking how they are going to achieve it. The egotism is a prime sign of psychopathy. Number 5. Impulsive decision or irresponsible. Psychopaths have a tendency to act without putting any thorough thought into the matter. They are rather impulsive and tend to be irresponsible with the job they are assigned to do. This behavior comes from the narcissist side of them. If you have the image of the stereotypical psychopath, you can find this point mildly confusing. The media give us the image of a psychopath as a brilliant planner and with excellent thinking power. That is somewhat true, but it is not always like this. Sometimes it takes a few simple words to bring them in the hot zone. When the psychopaths become angry, they lose the sight of the surroundings and just do whatever comes in their mind. According to some psychologists, the psychopaths don't fear the consequence of doing risky things. They seek excitement, thrill, and danger. The psychopaths can be pretty irresponsible and tend to put people in risk. When they are asked or questioned, they don't think of their fault. They just blame it on other things like the law, why you trusted in them on the first place. Number 6. Traumatic experiences in childhood. Some researches show that traumatic experiences of abuse and neglect in the childhood can play a relevant role in psychopathic disorder. There are many of us who were exposed to some traumatic experience in the childhood, which we just cannot forget. Sometimes, for the psychopaths, they also have some of the disturbing memories from childhood, which leads them to the dark alley of psychopathy. Some research was done on 22 offenders convicted for violent crimes in Italy. They found higher level of relative childhood trauma in the criminals with higher level of psychopathy. Number 7. The orbit of disgust. You might be very repulsive with the things related to blood, like the smell of blood, a bloody picture, etc. You might not be able to breathe freely if there is a minimal bad odor in the air. For a psychopath, the line of disgust is pretty high. It means that the things which people find disgusting, the psychopaths can endure that pretty much easily. The horrifying pictures or the foul smell, which can easily make people sick, doesn't seem to have any effect or doesn't seem to bother the psychopaths. Something very heartbreaking for normal people doesn't freak out a psychopath. A new research found this information. The professionals think that this is because of the lack of empathy or connections towards other people. Number 8. The inability to plan ahead. Many studies have shown that the psychopaths cannot commit to any long-term goals. They lack the thrill to pursue an aim in their life. They just like to live the present without any thinking of the future. According to the psychology checklist, the psychopaths lack realistic long-term goals. They change their jobs frequently as they get bored easily. They also change their relationship status frequently. They get into a relationship not for any serious commitment, but for some time pass. It is a big trait of a psychopath. Psychopathy is a spectrum. There are some behaviors under the spectrum. We all must have seen some of the behaviors in some time of our life. Like sometimes we are too much irresponsible or given ourselves too much importance. So, if we see some of the traits in someone, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is a psychopath. But if you meet someone with all of these signs or traits, then you better be careful because you can be dealing with a psychopath. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, click the like button. And for more videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe.